Now that you are familiar with the concept of variables and expressions in Sherpa RPA, we are moving on to learning the basic blocks: loops, conditions, debug, everything you need to create a more complex robot. The main blocks are here in a separate palette. You are already familiar with the start block. It starts the execution of each diagram, and there should be no more than one such block in each diagram. Let's set the data variable containing the number 5. Likewise, you can do this in the assign value to variable block. Let's move on to the blocks that help organize the development and ease the understanding of the diagram. In the comment block, you can leave notes related to development and logic of the process. This block has no connectors and doesn't affect the execution of the algorithm in any way. The to-do block is also not involved in the process, but has connectors. Its purpose is to outline the future nodes of the algorithm which are not yet developed, but are planned. Note the log panel at the bottom of the screen. This is where the system messages are posted while the algorithm is running. They are also written to text files in the logs folder, which can be found by clicking this button. The log block allows you to add any text there, which can contain variables or expressions. If you activate this option, the message will also appear at the top of the screen when the block is running, without interrupting the process. And if you activate this one, a screenshot will be taken and saved in the logs folder. The next block is condition. You can use it to check if a certain condition is met. If the result is positive, the execution of the algorithm will continue from the yes connector, otherwise from the no connector. For example, let's check if the variable is more than 10. And let's add logs. As you can see, the algorithm went this way. I didn't rename the log blocks, and now in the console it's hard to understand which block the message came from. Not a problem. Click on a block name in the panel, and the responsible block is selected. The switch case block also allows you to control the direction of the algorithm, depending on the contents of the variable or the result of the expression, but it has more connectors. In expression to evaluate, we put the name of the variable, and in conditions, the expected values it may contain. When executed, the block checks one by one which case matches the expression and runs the algorithm through the appropriate connector. If none of the conditions fit, the execution will continue on default connector. The loop block allows you to execute a sequence of blocks a certain number of times. It needs an initial value, which is a value assigned to the variable specified in the index parameter when the algorithm execution first reaches this block. Then this value will be incremented by the number given in this parameter, and the algorithm will move on from the loop connector, executing a chain of blocks that should lead back to the loop block. This cycle will continue until the value of the index variable equals or exceeds the value of the final value parameter. Then the algorithm will continue from the bottom connector of the loop block. These rapid cycles are not easy to keep an eye on. I will add a pause block to slow down the execution of each cycle by a specified number of seconds. We have got acquainted with the main blocks. In the resulting diagram, most of the blocks are log. I used them to visualize the changes in the values of the variables. But there is a better way to do this. You can select any blocks in a diagram and specify that when the algorithm in debug mode reaches any of them, it should pause, waiting for further instructions from you. I select a block and click the breakpoint button. All breakpoints are marked with a red frame. Let's run the algorithm in debug mode. The process paused as soon as it reached breakpoint. In the Variables tab below, you can see all the current variables and their values at this point. Let's continue running in debug mode. The loop went through and everything paused again when it got to the breakpoint. The values of the variables have changed. It is not necessary to advance through the algorithm to breakpoint. We can run it step by step using the Step Over button, thereby observing which way the process goes and how the values of the variables change.